Hey folks, sorry it's been a long time since I posted a video. I want to do one today on fuel storage, different types of fuel and storing that fuel. I'm not saying my way is the best way. This is just what I'm doing for a customer here, and we're storing off-road diesel, on-road diesel, and gasoline. So let me show you what I've done and why I did it. So we've got 3 tanks. When the gasoline tank is non-ethanol, 93 octane fuel. Started with a good quality fuel. And again, one of the keys on fuel storage is to have all the tanks full, and to keep them full, keep using them. So the plan I've put these folks on is to keep using these tanks. So they're going to start running the gas out of this tank into their vehicles, keep it fresh. We've got it in a building, and so there's no sun on the tanks, and that's one of the key things, is keeping the temperature as constant as possible. These are single wall tanks. They want to spend the money for the double wall, so we couldn't bury these single wall. But this is a pretty good building, and it's got a pretty good distance before any sun. No sun will be on these tanks. And the gasoline tank has to be vented to code. I'm 8 feet off the ground. I got a vent running outside, so no fumes are sitting inside of this building, even though this building is open and well ventilated. The off-road diesel, of course, you're familiar with that, has the dye in it. This is a farm here, so we can take advantage of a tax exemption on that. But the fuel, what else can I say? I've got everything labeled for them. Hopefully they won't confuse anything here. I've got 3 of the Fill-Rite pumps on each tank. I also added a manual pump to the on-road diesel tank because they've got a generator, a tractor, and a diesel vehicle, so I put the manual pump on this tank. Also, when it comes to diesel, there's a paste and that you can check. You want to check for water in these, and you can put basically a stick with a paste on the end, and it detects water. And if there is any water, that's what I would run a dip tube from the bottom of this manual pump to the very bottom, and the way the tank's angled back, the water will settle right under that pump, and then I could actually pump the water out and just burn that fuel, whatever, and keep the water out of this. That's if we run into water issues. But keeping the tank full is very important as the tanks expand and the fuel expands and contracts during the day. If there's room in the tank, that gives room for condensate to collect, and that's the problem. Once you get water in your diesel, then you have to fight algae. So I'll be monitoring these with these folks and making sure that this fuel stays in good shape. I'm not worried about the gas. They're going to be using this on a weekly basis, and we're shooting for 2-year life. Not adding any additives to any of this. There's no stables. I know I'm going to hear some feedback. You need to add this and that, blah, blah, blah. Not adding a thing. A lot of the additive business is snake oil. They make a ton of money with additives. And I've stored diesel for over 10 years with nothing added to it. Burned it fine in my generator. So now if you're running an eighth, a quarter of a tank, and you get a lot of condensate and you need to deal with the water, then you got to deal with it. So I will probably get some Hydrosorb filters, inline filters for the fuel pumps, but for now I'm not doing anything because my experience, I haven't had problem if these tanks are stored in a proper location and that they're full and that they're being used, that there's really not a reason to go to all the additives. So we'll see. I might eat these words, but I haven't had to eat them yet. So on the gas, 2 years is what I'm shooting for, 93 octane. The diesel, I'm shooting for 5 to 7 years on the diesel. And though I've stored it longer, this ultra low sulfur is a pain in the neck. It doesn't store as long. And obviously don't do anything with ethanol in it for storage. So I think that's it. Let's see, what else did I do? I've got everything's expensive. I know this is a very expensive endeavor, but with the way fuel prices are going up, that might be a good investment for these folks. So fuel storage tips for the prepper. Appreciate any comments. I know I'll probably get a bunch. Everybody's done different things. and I've tried different additives, the stables, all the different types of additives. I understand that. I just like to take a simple mechanical approach to fuel storage first, and that is control temperature and make sure the tanks are full, and that takes care of 95% of your problems. All right, signing off, and thank you for watching. Oh, I did want to add, I do have these Fill-Rite 15 gallon per minute pumps on here, and so I've got a battery here that all the pumps are pumped to it. They got a 30 amp slow acting fuse. Also, I haven't done it yet, but I put a junction box here so I can put the battery maintainer on there. So they've got a new battery, new pumps. These babies pump great, 15 gallons a minute, real fast. And that's it. I also put the fuel gauges. Well, let me just go through the top. The Fill-Rite pumps. I've got the vented fill cap, mechanical EMP proof gauges, just a float gauge, plugs, and a vent. Pretty much the same on all tanks. You don't have to vent the gas. This is sufficient. This is a sufficient vent for diesel tanks. And so they all have their gauges, their pumps, and then the manual piston pump if we have to. This one got crushed in the box, but we left it. It's kind of set up for right hand, so it'll still work fine. It's not broken. It's just bent. All right, I guess that's it. And I put no leaks on the bottom plugs I just put in, which is good, or I'd be in serious trouble with all this fuel leaking out on the ground. But I think we're in good shape. Everything's labeled correctly, and that is a fuel plan for a prep and retreat.